The night sky above Tehran turned into a wall of fire. First came the sound, a low roar cutting through the darkness. Then the explosions, 1, 2, 3, each blast shaking neighborhoods across the Iranian capital. Within minutes, enormous flames erupted from one of the city's largest fuel storage complexes, sending thick black smoke hundreds of meters into the air. Residents across northern Tehran stepped onto balconies and rooftops, staring in disbelief as the skyline glowed orange. What they were witnessing was not an industrial accident. It was war. In early March 2026, Israeli airstrikes struck several oil and fuel storage depots in and around Tehran, including the major Shahran oil depot, triggering massive fires and explosions that lit up the capital's skyline. The attack marked a dramatic escalation in the rapidly expanding war between Israel and Iran, a conflict that had already spread across multiple countries and threatened global energy markets. And for the first time in this war, the flames were burning inside Tehran itself. The strike was part of a wider military campaign launched at the end of February 2026. Israel, reportedly coordinating with the United States, began a series of major air and missile attacks against Iranian targets under an operation known as Lion's Roar. The offensive targeted military infrastructure, nuclear-related facilities, command centers, and air defense systems across Iran. Explosions were reported in multiple cities. Government buildings, radar installations, and military complexes were struck. Iranian authorities said the attacks killed hundreds and damaged key strategic sites. But when Israeli aircraft turned toward Tehran's fuel infrastructure, the war crossed a dangerous new line. Oil depots are not just industrial facilities. They are the energy arteries of a modern city. The Shahran depot alone is believed to hold massive fuel reserves and a network of storage tanks that help supply gasoline and diesel to Tehran's millions of vehicles and infrastructure systems. When those tanks ignite, the fire is almost impossible to hide. Footage from the attack showed towering fireballs erupting from the depot as flames spread between storage tanks. Thick columns of smoke rolled across northern Tehran, visible for miles. Residents described the explosions as powerful enough to rattle windows and shake buildings across entire districts of the city. Iran's oil ministry later confirmed that multiple fuel storage facilities in Tehran province and nearby areas had been struck during the attack. Israeli military officials said the depots were targeted because they were connected to Iran's military logistics network, specifically fuel supplies controlled by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Revolutionary Guard, often called the IRGC, is one of the most powerful forces in Iran. With an estimated 200,000 personnel and control over major missile programs and regional proxy groups, it plays a central role in Iran's military strategy across the Middle East. According to Israeli officials, these fuel depots were part of the logistical system that keeps Iranian military operations running, supplying fuel to vehicles, missile units, and transport networks. In modern warfare, destroying fuel supplies can cripple an army without firing a shot at the soldiers themselves. No fuel means no mobility. No mobility means no military power. But the significance of the strike went far beyond logistics. For decades, the confrontation between Israel and Iran had mostly played out in the shadows. Cyber attacks on nuclear facilities, assassinations of scientists, covert operations across Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq. Even when explosions happened inside Iran, they were often mysterious, never openly claimed, rarely acknowledged. That era is over. The war that began on February 28, 2026, has transformed the shadow conflict into an open regional war. Joint U.S. and Israeli strikes hit targets across Iran, while Iranian forces retaliated with missiles and drones targeting Israel, U.S. bases in the Gulf, and infrastructure across the region. Hezbollah launched rockets from Lebanon. Missiles were intercepted over Gulf states. Naval tensions surged in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil shipping lanes on Earth. At one point, tanker traffic through the strait dropped dramatically as shipping companies pulled vessels out of the area due to the risk of attack. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply normally passes through this narrow waterway. If that flow stops, the consequences ripple across the entire global economy. Oil prices surged within days of the conflict's outbreak, with analysts warning that prolonged fighting could trigger severe energy shortages and economic shocks worldwide. But even amid all these global consequences, the image that captured the world's attention was the fire in Tehran. Because for ordinary Iranians, this war suddenly became visible and terrifying. Firefighters rushed to the burning depots as emergency crews struggled to contain the flames. Fuel storage tanks can burn for hours, sometimes days, because each tank holds thousands of tons of flammable liquid. The heat from one tank can ignite the next. And if a chain reaction occurs, the entire facility can become an uncontrollable inferno. Officials worked urgently to prevent the fires from spreading to additional tanks or nearby infrastructure. Meanwhile, across Tehran, millions of residents watched the smoke rise into the sky. For many, it was the first time the war felt truly close. And the war is far from over. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue the campaign, warning that Israel has many more surprises planned as it pushes forward with its military strategy against Iran. Iran, for its part, has promised retaliation. Iranian leaders say the country is prepared for months of intense conflict and that attacks on Iranian territory will not go unanswered. Already, Iranian missiles and drones have targeted Israeli infrastructure and U.S. facilities across the Middle East. Each strike raises the stakes. Each retaliation risks widening the war even further. Because conflicts in the Middle East rarely remain contained. They spread across borders, across alliances, across entire regions. What began as an airstrike on fuel tanks in Tehran could become something far larger: a regional war, an energy crisis, a geopolitical earthquake. For now, the fires at Tehran's oil depots are slowly dying down, but the smoke rising above the capital carries a message the entire world understands. The war between Israel and Iran has entered a new phase, and the next explosion may be even bigger.